Let the February 2024 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission come to order. Tammy, will you do the roll call? Or, I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself. Okay. Commissioner Bennett, will you read the statement of purpose?
May our decisions today be made with wisdom, careful deliberation, and in the best interest of the city of Diamond Head. May we display patience and kindness in our dealings with each other and all who are in attendance, and may any decisions made today promote the health, safety, welfare of the citizens of Diamond Head and the enhancement of the city as a whole.
Commissioner Nico, will you lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
Present.
Commissioner Lael, Commissioner Brewer, and Chairman Flowers.
Present. Okay. The next item of business is the confirmation or adjustments to the agenda. Are there any? Not, can we have a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
I'll motion.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Next is the approval of the minutes from the January 23rd, 2024 meeting. Are there any changes to those minutes? If not, can I have a motion to approve those minutes with a second?
I move to approve the minutes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes. On to new business. Public hearing on a proposed text amendment to the tree ordinance, Article 11, General Requirements and Restrictions. The case file number is 2023-00337. Mr. Rich, do you have the staff report?
Well, there is no staff report.
Okay.
But anyway,
All right.
this is a public hearing,
Okay.
so I suggest we now open the floor up for the public hearing portion of it.
Okay.
And I believe we have some people signed up for this.
Okay.
So if your permission.
Yes. Please do.
Okay. All right, the first person, Beverly O'Hara.
Hi, everybody.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Beverly O'Hara, 7334 Anna Lee Street. I had a question on 1111, I think it is, when the contractors come in and clear great swaths of land. I don't know how many acres, but the Diamond Head Oaks. Was that pre-approved? Did they have to pay a penalty? Because I didn't think they could mess with the tree canopy and just take every tree down like that unless it was approved and the citizens or residents were notified or whatever, that there were going to be some protections enforced. Maybe it was just all pine trees, I don't know, but I just know that was a lot of trees taken down at one time, and the only trees I see really replaced are in the median right there. And I wondered if they were going to be responsible for planting trees, or if that was going to be up to the new homeowners, or how that was going to work, because to me that affects our community and the wildlife, you know, and that's part of our community. That's why we wanted to live in Diamond Head.
So under the current tree ordinance, there's no tree ordinance.
Where,
okay.
we do have a tree ordinance.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry, where do you say this took place?
Diamond Head Oaks were all around the Twin Lakes in the back. all
Diamond
that
Head Lakes,
area.
I think.
Diamond Head
Diamond
Lakes.
Head Lakes.
Diamond Head
okay.
Lakes, whatever.
Okay.
Sorry. I don't know what I was saying. Diamond Head Lakes.
Okay, so what was the question? I'm sorry.
All of the trees were
Yes, ma'am.
taken down, acres and acres of trees, and I just wondered if they had pre-approval for that, if there's any plan to replace any of the tree canopy, or if we've just lost all of those trees and that's too bad for us.
Well, the trees that were there were gone, obviously, all right? So, yes, they would be required to replace those trees, especially when they go into phase two, especially the protected trees, southern magnolia and the live oaks. So yes, we have a record of those trees that were removed that were protected.
Okay, and I'm not a real fan of pine trees because they snap and they make a mess, but if there were plans to replace some of the tree canopy that those trees removed, you know, so that the community, we like the green community, we like our animals and, you know, the shade in the yards and all of that good stuff. So I just wondered if there were plans to not just put 1 or 2 trees on each land, but in back or whatever surrounding area, if we'd be able to replace some of the trees, what the future plans are.
As far as their future plans, they haven't submitted to us any plans for that yet, but when they do, they will be required to replace a great number, and our current ordinance allows us to do that,
Okay.
but to replace a great number of the trees that they removed.
Okay, all right then, thank
Okay,
you.
thank
You're welcome.
Next.
Okay, where am I? Okay. Oh, Miss O'Hara? Oh, did,
Did you sign up twice?
okay.
Okay.
Y'all are gonna say, uh-oh, here comes Beverly. This is, I think, through 7, 8, and 9, just the variance procedure, the trees on public property, exemption for public utilities. We have all of you guys, but only the city manager was mentioned that this could be approved by him, and I just wondered how this really worked when somebody asks for a variance or there's some kind of public utility deal coming up. Is that presented to all of you all and you all vote on it and then the city manager goes to the council, or how is this done so that we know that you guys are, you know, like one person isn't just making all of these decisions, that it's being carefully thought out and, you know, so that we do maintain our community, what we're used to and appreciate.
So anytime there's a variance, it is submitted through the process of the building department. And then it goes for public notice, and then it comes to us. We can make recommendations off of what the staff is recommending. That then goes to the city council for their final approval.
And how does the public notice work?
It goes
Is
in the
that by an
newspapers.
email blast or?
It goes out by email blast, it goes out in the newspaper. Those people who live within a certain distance of it actually get a personal letter in the mail.
Okay, all right, that's good. I just really wanted to know how all of that worked, because it was kind of vague.
Okay.
So I
Do you
just
have
wanted
any other-
everybody to know.
Do you have any other questions?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Think it's on there.
Okay. Let's see, that's a zoning issue. Mr. Parrish? Bill?
Hi there, I'm Bill Parrish. I live at 968 Lala Way, near the Twin Lakes. I have some questions for Pat. One thing, I sent you an email about, Pat. How is this permit process going to work? Is it pre-building process? Is it, concomitant? Or is it, nobody was at City Hall and we just cleared it anyway? Is it going to be prior to issuing a building permit?
Yes.
Okay. So that will that be posted much like the building permit? So somebody driving by could say, these people have a permit to cut these trees.
All permits should be posted on their box.
That's the key word, should be. Will that be a requirement?
It is a requirement today.
Okay, good. Is it enforceable?
Yes, it is enforceable.
Would you elaborate slightly on that?
it's enforceable now.
If Bo drives by and does an inspection and it's
it's
not
not
there,
in
he
there.
can enforce it.
Right.
And how does that happen?
So there's
That
several,
man right over
So
there's
there.
what
several.
will you do, lock them up or
Yeah,
slap their hand, or, I mean, what's the procedure really?
Well, we can issue a stop work order
Okay,
until
that's
they
good.
comply.
That's
Okay.
good. Yeah,
We
that's
can-
the things
we
I'd
can
like
do
to
that.
know. Right.
But most of the time, we just notify that they don't have the proper permits within the job box and ask them to comply with it. And then if they don't, then we could take and do a municipal court citation, take them to court. But it usually doesn't come to that.
Okay. But there is some teeth in this.
Yes.
Good. Second, or third thing maybe, the replacement of these trees. If anybody's been out in the new addition that,
Speaking of the mic.
oh, if, you guys can't hear me really? Okay.
No, this is for YouTube also, and
Yes.
they're not able to.
This is being streamed live.
Right.
Yeah.
The replacement trees that Elliott Holmes has put in some of the yards are about maybe an inch and a half in diameter. I'm sure that's not a tree-for-tree replacement, because what are the requirements going to be about tree replacement size? Are there any?
The replacement of trees, and I believe it covers that in the ordinance, if my memory serves me correctly. It can
It
be
does.
It does.
Okay, it can be handled in one of three ways. They can either adjust their plans so that they don't cut down one of the protected trees. They can, if they have to remove a protected tree, then they can be required to replace that either on that property or another property. And then what's the third way?
Replace those protected trees which will be destroyed with suitable replacement trees within the city right-of-way, easement, or
Right.
public property.
Very good, yes.
So they don't have to replace them in the area, they could replace them anywhere in town.
And
Yeah.
who determines a comparable replacement? How does that happen?
Well, that happens in the building department.
Right.
Okay, and it's based really upon the number of inches in diameter the tree is,
Okay.
okay? So,
And this only
there's a
applies to
and-
protected species anyway.
Right.
And if I looked at the ordinance, there are, instead of 2, there are now 5. There's been 3 other species added. They're not state
There's
protected.
5, yes,
Yeah,
Right.
but there's a total of 5 now.
yes,
Previously, there were only 2.
yes.
correct,
Yeah, okay.
correct.
That's it.
I'll cite you an example. We just recently had a situation with a builder here that they had cut some protected trees down. And so we required them to go out and buy suitable sized trees that were greater than 6 inches in diameter. So that, and then we planted them. In fact, we planted them over here by, what's that, Lily Pond?
Mhm.
Lily Pond, yes. Planted them over there, live oak trees. So, and that's allowed under the current ordinance. So, we're doing that.
Good, excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Cagle?
Tammy, or Pat, can you keep time for me, please?
Oh,
Okay, thank you.
you do that.
Okay,
Let the highest paid person do it.
okay.
Good evening. My question is,
Could you state your name and address, please?
Harry Cagle. I live at 674-606 Diamond Head Drive North. My question is that, under the ordinance, there's for every 10,000 square feet, you have to have 10 trees.
Correct.
But then when you go to 10,000 to 110,000 square feet, you don't have to have 10 per 10,000 anymore. It changes. It goes down to 10 for the first 10,000, and then for every 2,500 square feet, you have to put a tree up.
Correct.
So the bigger you are, the less trees you have to have on your property.
Well, think this mostly applies to subdivisions that are going in, not single lots. Okay? So
And
the
that's
first
why
two,
we have the situation where Elliott Homes doesn't have any trees up.
well, we have that, we
Separate issue.
we have that situation because, well, I don't know why we have that situation.
But Pat, correct me if I'm wrong on this, the current situation with Diamond Head Lakes is already in place. There's nothing with what we're trying to pass here that's going to go back and be retroactive
That
on
is-
that current building site.
That is correct.
Not in that phase, but
Right.
remember, they're doing additional phases.
Correct.
So some of the tree, excuse me, some of the tree protection items in here, the increase in the penalties, and this provision in here that that builder would not be able to develop for 24 months unless he went through a certain number of steps would be in effect. So that's not in effect right now, but that's something that I think everybody has agreed on. Some people think it should be longer, some people not as long. We've kind of fallen at 24 months, but the sooner we get that in place, as these other phases open up, we'll have that. And that's gonna be, I think the consensus was we need more punishments. So the fines are the maximum allowable by law. We can't pass felony laws as a city, so they're misdemeanor fines. Maximum allowable by law, with the addition of, we're putting really a moratorium, we're putting a 2-year stop unless he really, so you would see, for example, Diamond Head Lakes, you would see those trees already in place before he even built the first house. What we're kind of doing now with Diamond Head Lakes is the trees are kind of coming in as we go, and the plan is that there will be more. But under this new ordinance, it will be a 24-hour freeze unless the 40% reforestation occurs prior to that, and a fine is paid. So 24
24
month,
month.
what did I say? Did I say
Hour.
year, hour?
Hour,
Look,
We like
it's
that.
been a long day. It's been a long day, so.
Okay.
Well, again, my question is,
Okay.
with why the more square footage, the less amount of trees? If you have 10,000 square feet, for every 10,000 square feet, 10 trees. Aren't you, I have a single lot.
Right,
If I go to clear it, I have to have 10 trees up.
correct.
Joe's got 110,000 square feet. He only has to do, what? He's got to do his 10, plus he's got to do one for every 2,500 square feet.
Correct.
So
So-
he's putting up 4 for 10,000 square feet. So he'll have 14, 4 times 10, 40, total of 50.
Okay.
Okay? My
Again,
math might be off a little bit, sorry about that.
No problem. I understand the concept here. And the concept is based upon anything larger than 10,000 square feet is probably going to be a subdivision or a development of some kind. And
But
with it,
shouldn't those houses within that subdivision have the,
but you've
the
also
same-
got to put the infrastructure in there. You've got to put the water, the sewage, the retention ponds, the streets, all
Agreed.
of that in addition to the lots,
agreed?
okay?
But then you're gonna have the plot plan of everything, and you're gonna know what lot has what size. Shouldn't those lots have to be conformed to the 10,000 square feet rule?
If they were individual lots and not part of the subdivision plat, yes, they would have to conform to that.
When you say individual lots?
So
if
an
it's a single
individual,
house being built,
yeah,
they would need 10 trees.
What's
If
the
it-
difference between one single house and 20 being built? It still is 10,000 square feet of lot space. You're doing exactly what the people don't want you to do, and that is to take away trees. Okay, by doing what you're doing with the subdivision, okay, you make the people that have a single lot at 10,000 square feet have 10 trees, but the guys that are building 30 homes don't have to have that multiplier, or whatever it ends up being. Okay, you're actually bringing it down where maybe on each lot, they only have to have 6.
And actually, I think under the ordinance, conceivably, they don't have to have a single tree on the lot. They can choose to
Yes.
plant trees somewhere else within the city.
I
It
think
doesn't
that's
even have to
tot-
be on the
That's
individual
totally
lot.
against what I think that the city wants, that the people here want.
So let me
Okay.
ask you a question. What is the average square footage of lots in Diamond Head, most lots?
Well,
Is
you-
it under
It
10,000
varies.
square foot, around
you-
10,000 square
Well,
foot?
you got,
Right.
okay, if you're in R1, or soon to be R10, 10,000 square feet for an R1. R2 is 6,000 square feet. And then R3 is less because those are multifamily and
Right. But like in Diamond Head Lakes, though, most of those lots in there is gonna be under 10,000 square feet.
Right.
So they're only allowed to maybe plant one tree per lot. If what he's saying was,
Right.
But you
Was
still.
enforced.
but
10 trees.
But-
10 trees
for the first 10,000
for
square
the first
feet.
10,000,
First
right.
10.
All right.
0 to 10, it's one tree per 1,000 square feet. So those smaller lots will have to have more than, what, if it's
So
a
you're-
6,000 square foot lot.
Yeah,
I see your
6,000.
point. I see your point.
Right.
I understand where you're going with it. We'll have to look at that.
You know,
That's what the purpose
personally,
of
I
public
think
comment
it-
is about.
I think at one point, somebody was telling me that I had to have, when I looked at my lot, and
Mhm.
before I cleared it, I came up here, okay, asked them if I needed a permit. You know what I was told, right? I
Well-
didn't need a permit.
If you
So-
had no protected trees,
Trees.
you didn't need a permit.
I had protected trees.
Okay,
That was 2 years ago,
okay.
okay? I had my,
So-
Okay.
I had my lot
30
cleared.
Well, that-
seconds.
Wait a minute, I had my lot cleared.
Okay.
Nobody said at any point how many trees I had to have. I was told that I had to have a minimum of 7. Okay, where that came from, I couldn't tell you. But now it's 10, which I don't know if that's too many or not. You know, I'm not building on my lot, so I don't know how that would turn out, you know?
Okay.
But the fact that as I got bigger, I was gonna be responsible for less trees is my concern, okay?
Understood.
I can live with the 10, although my lot currently doesn't have 10 on it, okay?
Okay,
So,
Okay.
all right.
Thank you.
look at it.
I
Thank you.
will,
Okay.
thank you. Okay. If I may break protocol
Sure.
here a little bit, does anybody else wish to speak on the trees? Okay.
Okay.
On the trees? Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, I'm not very.
Go ahead.
State your name.
Name and address, please.
My name is Stephen Dynas. I live at 68187 Diamond Head Drive East. Is there a requirement for the developers who are doing these single lots, not subdivisions, to notify the people who are buying the homes of the rules regarding trees? So in my case in particular, I live in Diamond Head Drive East. I bought the new Elliott home in 2019 right across from the tennis courts at East Rec. I was not happy with what they left. They left some exceptionally old 70, 80-foot pine trees. When I asked them about that, they just put it right on the city. The city said they had to stay.
I mean, that was 5 years ago.
There's no way we would
Right.
know what your developer was told and what he wasn't told. You know, the responsibility is on the owner. We
Yep.
heard, we had a situation, I don't know, last month or a couple months ago, where a builder, you know, was building a accessory structure, and he told the resident, no, it can go here. He was wrong, you know, and so, you know.
Ignorance of the law.
I was gonna say it, but.
I understand
You know,
that.
you get it, but it's incumbent on property owners to familiarize themselves with what the rules are and to
Right.
come in before, if they have questions, when in doubt, go to City Hall. Because if you do anything without a permit, or if you do anything without asking, or if you rely on someone that doesn't know, you know,
Right.
ultimately you could be, you know, having to pay the price for it.
To
yeah.
directly answer your question.
No.
No, to directly answer your question. We tell them how many trees, 10 for 10,000 square feet.
Right.
And they go out and they mark the trees, and the 10 that they're supposed to keep, and then they remove the other ones as long as they're not protected, and it's their choice of which 10 to keep.
So I could, if pine trees are not protected, I can remove them without a permit as long as I still maintain the 10 tree per 10,000 yards. Or do you have to have a permit to take down any tree?
No, you do not have to have a permit to take down any tree.
Yeah, I wish they would have taken them all down. I mean, I hear that they're doing that in other places because they left scrub. I mean, it's almost like they just didn't clear the sides and the back of the property, but that was when they were first moving out here.
But I would suggest this too. When in doubt, check with the city, do I need a permit?
Right.
Because what happens invariably is people see trees coming down and think, aha, they're doing something without a permit. You may not need one, but have that, if I'm a property owner in Diamond Head, I'm gonna have it in writing before I take a tree down.
If
But-
a tree is determined to be unsafe,
Yeah,
is that the owner's responsibility or is that the city's responsibility?
That's the owner's responsibility.
well, it depends on whose property. If it's on the city's property, it's the city's. If it's on your property, it's your responsibility. So that's an exception to any tree, is if it is a dangerous tree, or if your insurance company is requiring it to be removed, I mean, we're gonna permit that.
Okay.
So if a lot's being cleared, don't the city goes out and inspects that lot before it's cleared to make sure there's no protected trees?
City will look, yeah.
We,
Well, I mean, it's like, for instance, he just said, I have 7 pine trees, all right, he has 7 pine trees, he doesn't need a permit. But what if, I'm not saying he has
Have
other
9.
trees there and he's gonna, whack those while he's at it. So I would think before any trees get cut off any lot, this is me personally, I would think there should be some kind of inspection on that.
So it's really two things. So your protected tree, anytime you remove a protected tree, whether the lot's developed or not, you're going to have to get a specific permit for that. When you clear a lot, you will need, I mean, in our ordinance as it is, you cannot clear cut a lot, and that means from line to line, every tree gone. You see a lot of residual trees left around the borders of the property. People think that the lot's been clear cut, but technically they've left trees around the border. Some of the lots are so small, that's really the only feasible thing. You can't have the trees in the middle of the lot. But, those are the items. I mean, if it's a protected tree, if you cut it, I don't care if the lot's developed or not. We're gonna know, you've got to get a permit for that. And if you are clearing a lot, you have to have a permit for that.
Okay, thank you.
Again, I just want to apologize. This is my first meeting ever, and I wasn't sure how to sign up, and I
You
didn't
did
even put
fine.
my name down.
Yeah,
You did fine.
Thank you.
But I do, when it comes up about the other issue.
yes, I got you down here.
Anybody else?
Yes,
Pat.
ma'am.
Okay.
My name is Joanne Radasta, and I reside at 6629 Golf Club Drive. I represent the Garden Club of Diamond Head today, and I think the most important thing that we want heard is that we really need to pass this ordinance. The trees that are being cut down, it's like a free-for-all, almost. But we need to move forward. This has been going on for a year. I think we've been working on this, if I'm not mistaken. So that's my message. My concern is enforcement, because the last time we were here, which was almost a year ago, we were told the city doesn't have money for enforcement. And I'm curious to see, let's get it passed first, and then we can make some of these other changes.
We do have a full-time code enforcement officer. We also have 2 inspectors. We've got Bo, we've got Pat. So, but, really, the city's best eyes and ears are the folks that see it happening. So we encourage you all, the city can't see everything, but we're doing better. And I know that because our code enforcement officer is getting griped at all the time because he's sending letters and knocking on doors. So, but when you all see something, don't hesitate to call the administration, call City Hall and let them know. And, that's, because a lot of times they don't know.
And we will.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Anyone else?
Paul?
Good evening.
My name is Paul Brown, 5412 Lakeview Court. Pat, I'd like to ask you a question. On lots that have been cleared and were cleared improperly and all the trees taken down, can you not give them a building permit until they correct that problem to put the trees in?
Yes, that is under our purview, yes.
And with
So-
this ordinance now, Mr. Brown, we have,
So lots that have already been cleared, you're gonna be able to stop the permit, we'll have to stop the permit on the building until they meet the tree requirement?
Well, no, the way we'll handle it is at final inspection, they will have to have replanted or planted trees to satisfy the number of trees required on that lot.
but if it happens after the passage of this proposed ordinance, we can stop them prior to allowing them to move. We can stop them for up
So
to
if
2
a
years.
lot's already been cleared,
It's not grandfathered into
We have a
this.
residual plan where they have to do it at the final, before they get their final inspection. But with this ordinance, we have a way of stopping them for up to 2 years unless they reforest prior to construction, prior to be granting the permit. So that's why that's the difference in the change in this tree ordinance and the previous one. But we can't retroactively apply it.
so they're gonna have a free hand to build what they wanna build and not have to worry about the tree.
That's not at all what I've said, sir.
Huh?
That's not at all
No,
what
what
I've
he's
said.
saying is he cannot go back and retroactively apply this new ordinance to lots that have already been cleared. That's not how this is gonna work. This is, here's the line in the sand, and going forward, this ordinance will apply. The current ordinance that's in place for the trees is what applies to the things that have been clear cut right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Anyone else on the tree ordinance? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Claire Hansen, 6614 Ahiahi Place. My question is, are the penalties for developers who violate the code, are they at the maximum, or because it seems to me that what developers are required to do if they violate are really sum up like peanuts. I mean, $500, $1,000, peanuts to a developer.
So as Derek stated earlier, the fines are at the maximum that they can assess them at. We cannot federally enforce things because we are a city, so they're at the maximum that they can be for the city.
Okay, thank you.
Now, let me add something. In the new ordinance, there is a, where is that? Where's it talking? Okay. In the new ordinance, if they remove a protected tree without a permit, you can fine them $500 per acre of trees cleared and $1,000 per each protected tree removed.
In addition to the penalty of not being able to develop that lot for 24 months and any other, the other thing is, we've got a lot of tools that we can use to say, we can bring them to court, we can issue the fine, we can put the stop work order on. There's a lot of things that we can do, and every situation is not quite identical, but we do what we do. In terms of a fine, in terms of a civil fine for a violation of a municipal ordinance, the maximum allowable by law could change if the legislators in Jackson say we can fine people more than $1,000, we will, but that's why we leave it at the maximum, up to the maximum allowed. If we take them through the court system, it's up to the judge to decide what that would be on a determining scale. But I think the point of your question, and one of the things I've heard is, it's not going to stop people from making a decision, I'm going to pay the fine, I'm going to cut the tree. We're all familiar with the example in Biloxi and what they're going through with the 2 live oaks that were cut there, and the developer made a decision. So, ultimately, folks are going to decide if they're going to follow the law or not.
Mm-hmm.
People speed every day, it's illegal.
Mhm.
People commit assaults every day, it's illegal. They make a decision, I'm willing to do the time, I'm willing to pay the fine. if I do this. With respect to tree ordinances, I think a lot of folks, including myself, I love trees. I've got a lot of trees in my lot in Gulfport, are passionate about trees, but because it's a municipal thing, we're limited. We can't put people in prison for life if they cut a tree down. We'll do what we can do. And the city hears y'all. You know, there's a lot of people that want these protected trees to be protected, and this gives us a little bit more ability to do that. So,
And how well are you going to be, is this, all of this going to be enforced?
that's always the question. So like I said, we've got a code enforcement officer now that's full-time. It's our former police chief. I think he's doing a good job. It's, you know, we've got 2 now inspectors that are out in the city a lot. When they see things, they know to speak up. We get calls. Continue to call the building office, call the permit office when you see things if you have a question. It may be that they did have a permit and what you think wasn't allowed is allowed, but at least you can get the answer. And at least we may not know about it, and maybe we will know about it, and we'll put a stop work order up. First thing we do, you know, and Bo can kind of, when in doubt, put a stop work order on them. Let's figure out what's going on.
Okay.
So that's one of our most effective tools. Builders do not like to be told you cannot. They have schedules, they have people coming. When you put that stop work order on them, it's effective.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Going once, going twice. All right, public hearing is now, oh, wait a minute, before we leave the public hearing, I also received some,
Emails?
excuse me, you gave me your calls, Heather, thank you.
I've got 4 left.
Okay. Received some emails. I've included those in your packets up there. And you can read them at your leisure here. I'll just cover them briefly, kind of summarize them a little bit. Wanted to add more trees to the protected ordinance. If we make everything protected, then nothing is protected.
Agreed.
So we have to worry about that.
Well, and one thing I will add, so we have this list now, it's increased to 5, but we have a way to expand it as needed.
Correct.
So you may not have every tree, you may not see every tree that you would think should be on here. We can add, we can remove.
And what we did on that, just to let everybody know, we looked at the trees that were prominent in this area in Hancock County. The Forestry Commission gave me a little book, and I was able to go through that and identify those trees that were there. We also looked at some of our, and someone made a comment here, I think we said we were going to put a ballstoppers, he said would include all the cypress family, and there are really only 2, but to protect the places like the duck pond over here and the land adjoining that have the cypress trees in it. So we'll look to increase it as it makes sense.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Are you going to read these into record or just put them on the record?
I'm going to put them
Okay.
on the record, yes.
Okay. So the public hearing is now closed.
Amen.
All right. Moving on to unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business?
Do y'all want to consider a vote on this tonight?
We can.
And if you do,
Okay.
we've got I mean, just because one of the things I hear is that this has taken a lot of time. So one of the things that I would recommend if you guys do is the last page, page 10 in your packet, 11.12.1, prior tree removal. This was added, this was one of the additions, the ordinance that we're working from here was the existing tree ordinance. And so this was an addition from the previous ordinance that we started from scratch. So I would have a few changes. We no longer use the term heritage trees. We call all protected trees just protected trees. So I would recommend that the 3 places that we reference a heritage tree, that we change that to protected. The only other change I would make is in subparagraph A. So you have to have a reforestation plan of 40%, or applicant agrees to contribute to the tree escrow account, ... we've taken that tree escrow account as well. So it's now just either have to replace the tree on their own property or on a city property. So I recommend taking out in paragraph A, beginning from the word "or" all the way to the semicolon. Those are staff things. A few of those were pointed out to us in some of the residents' comments.
Okay.
So those would be so if you all, unless you all have something else, those would be and I think I'm speaking for Pat here. He'll tell me if I don't, but I think those would be the recommendation of the staff.
Starting from where now? What?
So starting in subparagraph A, in the third line,
Right here.
where it says 40% of the site, right after the word site, the word "or," all the way to the semicolon. So you're taking out the words "or the applicant agrees to contribute to the tree escrow account equal to the cost of implementing the reforestation plan or a combination of both." That would come out. And it would read, in essence, that you have a reforestation plan of 40% of the site, pay a fine of $500 per acre and $1,000 for each protected tree removed.
Okay. And just to be clear, if we have a vote tonight, it's to move forward with having a recommendation for next month.
That would be it would be a recommendation for the council at their next meeting.
Oh, okay.
Would be the recommendation I make. Pat, do you
All right.
agree, disagree, or? I don't like it when he's quiet.
I'd like to let it sit 30 days.
Okay.
We got a recent influx of responses here the last few days.
Okay.
And I was still getting some this afternoon as we went through.
Okay.
I would like to present you with a clean copy
Next month.
next month and vote on it then, and hopefully we'll have all of our commissioners then. But y'all can do whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah,
Commissioners, what are your
I mean,
thoughts?
we can nitpick this tree ordinance to death for the next so many days, years, or whatever.
Okay?
But if we don't pass anything soon, you know, a lot can happen then. A lot of trees could be, cut down. I mean,
I hear you.
I know, the public's got a lot of good ideas, but what one person likes, another person doesn't like. But
I hear
we
you.
can't.
I think we've got to have a starting point.
Well, and we need us talk to our council people and tell them, look, we just got to get this ordinance.
And to speak to Pat's concerns, which, I do have too, we can amend it. So if we get this done, I think we all agree this is probably a good start. There may come a situation where but we're chasing comments right now, and we're never going to nail every comment down. So at some point, and again, I don't, Pat and I, we just kind of see this one a little bit differently, but we both agree we want to do as solid of a job on this, but at some point we got to cut bait. We got to get a recommendation. We've already had one recommendation. Council didn't like it, so we took those comments. We went back to the drawing board. We started with our ordinance, which wasn't bad.
Okay, in that case, then I'm going to give you my recommendation then.
Okay.
All right, starting with 11.1, purpose and scope, I'd like to add pond cypress
Okay.
to the protected trees. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
All right. Also, on the completed, pardon me? Pond, P-O-N-D, cypress. It's a species of cypress. I think that will cover our wetlands areas here. Also, add as we have for live oaks and magnolia trees, what their genus names are. All right, I'll add that.
Okay.
For each of those protected trees.
All right.
Okay.
All right. 11.2.2, number 3. At the last part, replace those protected trees which will be destroyed with suitable replacement trees within a city right-of-way easement, blah, 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 upon approval by the city manager, period.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not gonna say anything about that. Not gonna say anything there. Not gonna say anything there. Also in 11.12.1, take out significant and specimen as well as the heritage trees.
Oh, good catch. And so there, we're just calling them protected trees. We're no longer using those designations of significant specimen or heritage trees. They're
Right.
just
Protected
protected.
trees,
Okay,
one category.
all right.
Where was the Easter egg in here?
We got it. That's
Got
the
it.
one I got. That's the change that I
That
recommend.
was in A.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
So, recommend that you go ahead and make a motion to approve this as amended.
Okay. Do we have that motion, council? Or commissioners?
So let's go back to the trees.
Okay.
So you're adding the pond cypress
Mm-hmm.
along, you got the live oaks, southern magnolia, also got the American holly,
Mm-hmm.
bald cypress, black gum, sweet gum, and white oak. Right?
Correct.
Okay. I'll just make sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fine.
So now we have six protected tree species, right?
8,
7, 8,
Eight.
okay, 8, yes, okay.
6 plus the 2
Yeah.
Sure,
originals.
like gum trees on here.
It's up, if y'all don't want it in there, then we can make that change.
Yeah, I mean, in addition, and we can take trees off as we decide, but, again, we've seen every combination of tree either included or not included, and at some point, this was kind of where Pat went through the book and said, all right, these are the ones that are most common and native to this area. So, but it's up to y'all.
Okay. Commissioners, any other comments? Go ahead. You got anything else? Okay. So do we have a motion to make this recommendation as written and amended?
So we're making a motion on adding the pond cypress.
Mm-hmm. And the other changes that Pat recommended?
Right, the other changes,
Mhm.
okay.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Do we have a,
I'll second
I'll
it.
second.
okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So the recommendation passes.
Right, and so for everybody, this will go to the council at their next council meeting, which is next Tuesday, as a recommendation to approve.
Okay. Unfinished business. Pat, do we have any?
No, we do not. Oh,
Right.
just to update everybody, I know I emailed y'all and updated you as far as the code rewrite. We need a little extra time to complete that code rewrite with all the suggestions that we got. Bob Barber is working on that. We'll have it ready for you for the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Open public comments to non-agenda items.
All right. Oh, Paul.
Paul Brown, 5412 Lakeview Court. I'd like to know when these maps are going to be finished for the, and how they're going to be distributed, and how are we going to notify everybody? On the zoning change with the 2040 plan, is everybody going to get letters that are going to be affected or live around anything with this new Aloha project?
So let me address the zoning changes. As Pat can tell you, as the commissioners know, we've had zoning changes come up several times in the last couple of years. It is one of the most labor-intensive things that this commission deals with. It is one of those things that requires notice to anyone affected. At some point, if there is a zoning change of multiple properties, this is going to be a very large undertaking that's going to require a lot of notice, a lot of advertising. You're going to have to be under a rock if you don't know we're doing it. But as what we're going to do, Right now, we are working off the comprehensive plan, the future zoning use map that was approved by the city council. That's the map right now. What we're working on first, and we divided this into two, but what we're working on first is the code rewrite to reorganize the code to make it more effective, to make it easier understood, to make it more streamlined so that it works. We are not putting in we're not changing any zoning at this time. We will set up some districts, which we've already set up. Well, for example, the Aloha district is already passed. It's already in the books, but it's never been placed on a map. We're not doing that until we start the entire rezoning process. It's going to require notice to property owners. There's going to be some litigation over this. Anytime you rezone multiple properties, the property owner himself may object to it. Neighbors may object to it. I mean, at some point, if we do not follow every single process that we have, we are going to find litigation. Even if we follow all our processes, we may have litigation if someone's aggrieved by the ultimate decision of the city council. So for now, we're working on the zoning rewrite. The map that we're using right now was adopted by the city council as the future use zone. We are not changing any zoning until we have the subdivision regulations done, and that's just the way that's the way the administration has been working on this.
I think it would be a good idea that anywhere things are going to change, we need signs that there's going to be a zoning change.
That's
a
a requirement.
Not no little bitty box where
It's
you have to get out your car and go over to a box and open it up and read it. You need a sign.
Mr. Brown, you will know, and as you've been here and at a bunch of the most recent meetings, and you know that's one of the things that we've added to our list of things to do in addition to the requirements that we have pursuant to the ordinance. Notice requirements are the most important thing that you do when you rezone property. Property owners right now, any property that we rezone, that property owner's got he has some property rights and some expectations that when he bought that property, he knew how it was zoned. If you change it, you have to have a darn good reason to do it. And you have to, as you know, most recently with the condo project.
Yeah.
You know, and so we're going to be doing the condo project maybe for multiple properties at a time. Well, I don't, you know, and it depends. I don't know. We're going to see what we see, but right now we're focusing on let's get the subdivision ordinance reorganized, fixed, put in a place where we can use it and it's a lot more user friendly. Then the next step is we're going to start talking about zoning, and we're going to have meetings. We're going to, what do you all think about this? What do y'all think about? We're going to have to meet with the property owners. The notice, the advertising, all that. It's not going to be a one meeting process. I can guarantee you that.
But I would think putting up signs where people driving by can say, "Hey, this is pretty close to my property. I'd like to know what the intentions are here."
I agree with you.
Mhm.
I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Beverly O'Hara, 7334 Anna Lee. I was at the ward meeting on Saturday, and the zoning came up. That was one of the big deals. And they talked about nothing would be done until the map was done and that all the proper steps were taken. I think a lot of our concerns are we spent a lot of money getting that Envision plan done. And since the zoning and all those changes haven't been put into effect yet, we ended up getting a Taco Bell, and the street was not done as we thought it was. It's narrower, and we have less access into the parking lot. Anyway, it just wasn't what anybody thought it was going to be, and we were extremely disappointed with the outcome. And the reason that Taco Bell was okay is because it's under the old ordinances, because the new ones haven't passed yet. And I'm afraid, just like the tree canopy, it's taking so long to get this stuff done that people are just going to start still building whatever the heck they want in that commercial area, and we're not going to have that pretty area that we all envisioned with trees and benches and walkways and all of that. It just looks like a big parking lot. And so my concern is, can we put a hold or a moratorium on any more buildings so that we don't have more fast food places and Dollar Trees sprouting up all over the place, and we have some control on what's being built?
I mean, we've talked, that's been a topic of discussion, not officially from the city, but it's been a topic of discussion in the past. you know, there's issues with it, you know, and so again, I'm not gonna speak to that. That'll be up to the council. I mean, it's possible the council can do, this board could recommend, or the council could do what it wants to do, but again, I just want to make sure we don't do something that sets us up for litigation. The property owners that are here do have property rights, and they have an expectation. One of the things that, you know, I know, you know, Bo and Pat have worked on is, as they've had communication with folks, telling them, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing in the future, to try to edge them towards, hey, you might as well comply now. We haven't seen any other developers come in yet, but I mean, you're right. If this has been going on a long time. We purposefully step back on it because we have had so many comments and so much confusion about it. We've had new council members, we've had new planning and zoning commissioners. A lot of y'all are newer residents that didn't know about Diamond Head, Envision Diamond Head. And so we've had to kind of go back to the drawing board and kind of re-educate folks. And a lot of what I hear is misinformation that's out there about this whole process and how, oh, we didn't know. And this, I mean, the city won an award for the amount of participation we did just getting to the point that we did to enact that comprehensive plan. But, you know, as Pat has said, we've had to kind of take a step back because we are trying to get the information gap there.
Well,
Right
I'm
now,
a fan
you
of
know,
taking our time, because it seems like some of the subdivisions and things that are been put in, we didn't have the infrastructure, and then we had to catch up. And, you know,
Sure.
so I don't like playing catch-up. I don't think
agree.
anybody does.
I agree.
But that's why I kind of would hope maybe there would be a moratorium, a hold until this is worked out. I don't know. I'll be at the next council meeting and saying this too, so.
Okay. All right, thanks. Thank you. Okay.
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 Actually, I'll just take it to the zoning office.
Yep, okay.
All right. Commissioners' comments. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Mr. Duff?
Don Duff, 546 Lakeview Court. One of the things that I would like to see provided before the zoning map is prepared is a map that would show how properties are zoned currently. And I know you have to come up with invent a designation, just like the Aloha District Mixed Use is an invented designation. Invent a designation for commercial C1 and commercial C2 that shows that property like the Cure Land property is currently C1, and with the Envision plan that it stays that way until it is rezoned. The way it's shown right now, it's shown as Aloha District mixed use, along with the Prestige Land property and some others that are currently commercial. And so if the Vision 2040 plan is passed, everything becomes Aloha District mixed use. If it becomes Aloha District mixed use, we're right back in the same ballpark where you're at the mercy of the developer and the property owner. They can come in there as long as it fits the criteria of Aloha District mixed use, which permits the construction of buildings that would be 3 stories high with the latest restriction, and it could be a condo that's 3 stories high with 58 units, just a little bit bigger footprint, and it would be the same thing that was going to be developed that was rejected, and that property needs to stay as commercial until the zoning is approved to rezone it, which I hope never happens. I'd like to see it remain as commercial, or maybe a nursing home or a assisted living home, but a 3-story building in there just around all the residents and next to the wetlands and all that. It's just, I don't think the best use for that property. I think that the people in the city, we got them involved, and I don't think they want that as well.
Can I
And-
address that, please?
Sure, address it.
Okay, so I'm at the age where I can appreciate both sides of the generations. And I understand that it's very, very difficult when you buy a home, you've lived in it for 30 years, you have a 1-acre lot, it's 3,000 square feet. That is an investment. I see that as an investment in your retirement. And I can understand that it can be very concerning when we're talking condos and things like that. But we all have to realize that the future generations that are coming up don't want yards. They don't want huge houses. They want a landing spot where they can crash for a few hours and then go live life. Okay? Envision 2040 to me means that we are thinking to the future and what the future generations are going to want for housing. There may be people that want to live in Diamond Head that don't want a house and a half-acre lot to take care of, or even 5,000 square feet. They want an apartment. We should be willing to accommodate what people want of all generations. I can tell you now, if there's a concern about people having 3-story buildings and being able to see in your yard, I live back by Twin Lakes. I can see in the second floor of my neighbor's yard or in their home because my house is up here and their house is down here, and that 6-foot fence does not do anything for their privacy. So we have to be understanding for all generations, and we have to be accommodating for that. We have people, we have heard in previous meetings that Stennis is having trouble attracting talent to the area that want to come in as contractors because we can't provide the type of housing that they're wanting, so we're losing revenue for them going into Slidell and renting for 6 months to a year because they can get what they want in Slidell. Do we want the tax revenue in Diamond Head, or do we want to lose it to Louisiana? Those are all questions that we have to ask ourselves and come to a realization and an understanding for all generations.
Heather, I hear what you're saying, and I agree with it for properties that are over near the existing shopping center to the east of Rouse's. There's plenty of property that can be developed into these mixed-use developments. The property, like the Cure Land property, the Prestige properties, those are in an area that's near residents, near the wetlands, and near the Duck Lake Pond, and nothing but single-story structures are in that area. We need commercial property in Diamond Head. It's wonderful to have a mixed-use property where people can live and walk to the stores and all that, but we also have 12,000 plus residents here that are going to have to drive to commercial areas, and we don't have enough commercial areas. We need more commercial areas. We need assisted living facilities. We need more nursing facilities, and that area is the ideal location for it. The other thing is you have no control as the city or the planning and zoning. You have no control over what's going to be built there if it fits into the criteria for Aloha District mixed use. There's nothing to say there's going to be any commercial. It can be condominiums, just like what they were wanting to put in there.
But Mr. Duff, that zoning has not changed. It is still C1.
Right,
The
it's
zoning
still
has
C1
not changed.
Now, but every time I try to ask for a new map that is developed that shows the new designations, come up with a
Mr. Duff,
designation
the
for
current
commercial
zoning,
and show it on that new map.
the current zoning map is in a force.
If you
It's
look at
C1. The council approved what they have as a vision for the future. That's not the map. It's never been approved and a zoning amendment done. So that property, the Cure property, is zoned right now C1. And we will have to do a rezoning. It was attempted before, it didn't pass. We will have to do a rezoning if anyone wants to change that.
Okay, if you look at the map in the Vision 2040, it says
That's not the
Aloha
law.
District mixed use for
It's
that
a
property.
That
comprehensive
is
plan.
the
It's a future
future
use
plan.
I
plan.
understand that. That's what you want to do. That's what you want it to be, and
But-
we don't want that.
I'm just telling you, Mr. Duff, the current zoning, if you want to know what the zoning is, come get a zoning map, a current zoning map. It will show
Right.
you it is C1.
I will do that.
It is not changed.
I
It
think it's
cannot
on, I think
change.
it's on the website
It's
too.
on the website.
It's on the
Right.
website, it's everywhere. There's a big one in Pat's office. It is C1.
It's
It
gotta
has not
be-
changed. As Mr. Brown and I were talking, that's going to have to go through, if it ever changes, and it may not. If it ever changes, it's got to go through that whole
In-
process that we talked about earlier.
In the Envision 2040 plan, there's nothing for commercial. It's called conventional, and it
Sir,
doesn't even fit.
2040
Sir,
has not passed yet, correct?
No,
The-
it,
the-
2040
there's-
was
I'm sorry.
accepted. Yes, 2040 was
It's a
accepted.
concept.
Yes.
Yes.
But, you know, you got to be careful too. If I lived around the duck ponds with any of these houses there, you can get an undesirable commercial property there that's just noisy,
right.
stinky, and all that. I mean,
I understand all that. I would rather take that chance than to have a 3-story condo
right?
out
No, I
there
understand.
that
I mean, someone could buy it and put a nightclub in.
Well,
And-
that I would hope. I would hope there would be some control over that some way. That would be undesirable. But we need more commercial, and it's been shown that there is a need for office space, for additional
Right.
commercial facilities. That people are asking for commercial space all the time in Diamond Head, but there's none available. Not in that
I'm going to give you
area
30 seconds.
around Aloha
Okay.
District.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, Pat?
No.
Commissioners' comments.
I have a question, just for my own knowledge. I thought a while back, Diamond had, back in the day, turned down a nursing home facility in that area.
That is correct.
Okay, that's what I
Okay.
thought. I want to clarify that. So didn't we already go down that road?
Yes.
We did.
So I'm not really sure. It's frustrating for me being new up here because it's kind of hard to figure out what the residents want. That's all. That's my only comment.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Communications and announcements. So the next city council meeting is Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. The next planning commission meeting is March 26th, 2024. Pat, do we have anything for the agenda?
Yes, we have a variance. Plus, we got the code rewrite, plus
Okay.
whatever else jumps up.
Okay. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.